Inside this garage, we found what many people consider a holy grail car. Some dream to own this, while others work their entire lives just to be able to potentially buy one. And with only 30,000 original miles and being hidden away from the world for the last 19 years, we found the Porsche 930 Turbo.
Oh my God, Brad, you didn't tell me it was a 930. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say here. This is a real 930 Turbo. All right, guys, we are here with our friend Clark, who invited us to his incredible warehouse because he has a really special car in the back garage that he wants to show us. This place is amazing, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's crazy. How long did it take you to collect all these signs?
I've collected for years and years, but they accumulate and then they rotate constantly. I buy, sell, we rehab, we restore, and if someone walks in and they fall in love with it, I'll sell anything. That's my motto, is I'll sell anything.
It all looks so cool though. I mean, I guess if you have plenty of other signs to swap and change them out.
We like to curate it and give a vibe of a space, but also I don't want someone to walk in 6 months and look at the same thing. I think it's important that every time you come in here, you see a totally different look.
That's cool. It sounds like a lot of work. You mind if we take a walk through?
Yeah, come on in.
So when was the last time that this car was cleaned?
As far as I know, it's at minimum 20 years since it's been on the road.
Holy crap. Wow, look. Oh my God, Brad, you didn't tell me it was a 930. It is a turbo. Sometimes they take the Carreras and they just put the whale tail on it to get the, oh my God, it's a real 930 turbo. Yeah. And a Porsche 1600 Super, holy crap.
Yeah, this is a 56 Beehive taillight car. It's the first year for the A model.
Wow.
And the last year for the Beehive taillights.
Holy crap. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say here. This is a real 930 turbo too.
Real 930, all original paint, 30,000 miles. It's a 1981.
Super nice condition.
It's in great shape.
Yeah.
There's a few little issues with the body, nothing crazy, a couple little paint bubbles. But overall, as an original car, it's pretty well preserved.
What's the story on this car? How'd you acquire it?
I do a lot of deals with a local guy here who owns a dealership. He called me and he had 3 cars that he really had no interest in going through and getting running and stuff like that. So it was my time to scoop them up.
So that included the 930 turbo, and then is that a S500? What is that?
It's actually Mercedes E500, a 94 E500. It looks pretty mundane, but it's actually a pretty rare car. It was combined built from Mercedes and Porsche. 94, I believe, is the last year for this style. I think they were 92 to 94, and I think in 1994, this car was almost 90 grand sticker.
Holy
which
crap.
is insane. This was here with it, and the 91, this is a 944 Cabriolet.
I don't think I've ever seen a Cabriolet before.
I haven't either, but
looks weird not being
better in
hatched.
person. I've never really liked these cars too much, but seeing this car in person and seeing how wide it is and everything, it has a great stance.
Yeah, it's totally different curb appeal compared to the standard 944, especially without the hatch.
Yeah, it doesn't have that big bubble glass window.
This is also a beautiful color. I didn't realize. I thought this was black initially, but it looks like a slate gray.
It's almost the color like a slate gray.
Yeah, with beautiful flake in it too. This is an incredible car. This is a grail car for me. This is one of the cars that I always dreamt of having. I have Legos at the shop of 930 turbos. I have a silhouette on the wall of a 930 turbo.
Oh, so this is like your, this is your jam here.
Yeah, this is something that I've always wanted a Porsche, but I want a newer Porsche before I look at old air-cooled Porsches. Yeah. So I feel like this is really, really far away. Maybe one day it'll be my retirement car, but I gotta work a lot more before I can afford something like this. But this is insane. So what's the plan after we clean it up?
I'm usually just a hustler. I'm usually just constantly rotating, but this is kind of a grail car for me as well. And it's still in my budget where I don't feel guilty hanging on to it. So my goal, I think after it's gone through, is full engine out service and just go through the whole car, nut to bolt, make sure everything is ready to go, but also keep it as preserved original as possible. I do have a couple different sets of aftermarket wheels from the time period that would have went on this car. So I may play around with swapping the wheels just because I like that 80s, 90s custom look, but I think original is always best, so I wouldn't go too crazy with it besides wheels.
Now this is a wonderful car, amazing car at that, but is it a holy grail car for me? No, I know that you do love the 930 Turbo, and this is a pretty sweet car, I gotta say.
When this car came out, it was so advanced for its time, especially on the track. I've gotten to work on a couple, actually pretty early on in my detailing career, and so I fell in love back then. So it's really cool to actually have one in the shop. I'm really excited to make it look nice again.
It's interesting to me because we did have a 356, which is the early iteration before the 911 was the 911, and to see all the differences, especially in this high performance model. They really went all out on this car. It's super wide, super aggressive. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, not only for that time period, but even today. This car looks so crazy with the rear hips, and then the whale tail spoiler, which is just so cool, made out of the foam material like my Scirocco is.
So let us know in the comments, is this one of your grail cars? Is this a car that you would aspire to own, that you would dream of? Or like Mike, is it just a cool car that doesn't move the needle much for you? Before we start the wash, we're gonna take a look into the front and see what's in there.
Ooh, we have another steering wheel. Wait. So which one belongs to this car? I think the one that's in it is the actual one that belongs to it.
Actually, I think it's reverse. I think
Really?
that's, if I'm not mistaken, that looks like the 944 steering wheel that I had. I think that was the original one, to be honest. Also, look at how much wear it has, so I would assume that.
Well, that other one, if you notice, the stitching is all messed up because I had a lot of time in it. They like cut it all off to redo it. Well,
Yeah, I think that's the original one, but definitely
what do you
let
guys
us know.
think? Is the one that's in the car original, or is this the original one? Let us know, because I don't know.
It's
How
also
does this
missing
stay up?
the big cardboard piece that goes over here. So usually these frunks look a little bit nicer. Fortunately, this one is missing some of the structural components, but nonetheless, it's always cool to have a car with a frunk. All right, first things first, we're gonna get started with the wheels on the Porsche. These are the iconic Fuchs wheels, which everyone loses their mind for. These are the 16-inch wheels. You can tell because of the 5 pedal spokes as well as the large outer lip. And we're gonna be using our iron removing wheel cleaner, our Purple Rain wheel cleaner, to break down any brake dust that's on the wheel. And I will be using our tire cleaner to break down any of the tire blooming and obviously all the dirt that is on the tires. Granted, these tires probably need to be swapped out anyway, but for presentation purposes, we gotta make sure they're clean. Later in the video, we're gonna put the car on the lift and then we'll remove the wheels, make sure that we get these barrels as clean as we possibly can, and then clean up the wheel wells as well as all the brake components and the chassis.
Okay, Mike, now before we actually wash the back of the car, I feel like we should take care of the engine so we don't get all of this wet and it makes it a nightmare later.
That's for sure. We definitely should. So we're gonna be vacuuming out all of this pine needle before we get to the engine cleaning. But I mean, if you're watching this video, you should know about this car, but I have to reiterate how much of a performance car this was and why it earned its name as the Widowmaker. This thing was about 3,000 pounds or less and rear wheel drive, and this H6 motor is turboed and makes 300 horsepower for 1981. That is a ton. This was the original Widowmaker. This thing was a riot back in the day and actually very dangerous to drive. Very similar to the early generation Vipers, which had 400 horsepower rear wheel drive that were super dangerous.
What's different between this motor and the Beetle from the time?
Well, I mean, they're both rear engine and they're both H-style motors, but that's a 4-cylinder, no turbo, both air cooled. So this is still air cooled, which is pretty cool. But makes nowhere near as much power, like as 1/6 of the horsepower or something like that. Yeah.
I think before we clean it though, one last thing. We've been noticing all over the car, there's tiny little emblems everywhere, which you would never notice unless you're either under the car or this is up. But this was hidden on the whale tail, kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I think the whale tail is awesome. I really love that it's that foam texture. It's really cool. And then that's pretty sweet that you open it and it just says right up top. It's totally hidden when it's closed.
Okay, so let's get this vacuumed out now, and then later we'll come back with our citrus degreaser and actually clean the engine.
Yep. Moving on to the interior of this 911 Turbo, I gotta say, it's quite a nice place to be. I love the setup here. The tachometer in the center, speedometer right next to it. There's a clock here, a little bit hard to see because the steering wheel kind of blocks it, but doesn't matter what time it is, you're in a 911. But I do have to ask you guys one question. I know that a lot of 911s, I think all 911s, have the ignition on this left side here. Now, is that something that you guys like? Because I'm just so used to it being on the right and I'm right-handed that I just feel like I don't like this. Which I know I might get hate for, but that's just my opinion. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. Also, Brent, excuse my pronunciation of this, but I want you to guess what this is, because I actually know what this is. Druck.
Druck?
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but yeah.
That's definitely probably not the way to say it, but I'm assuming oil temperature and pressure, maybe?
Yeah, that's actually right. That's for oil. I'm actually really surprised you got that.
I just guessed. I had no idea.
What about this one, the bar?
In the middle?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Is that something to do with the battery?
No.
Bar. Well, that's the speedometer or the tachometer, so something with speed.
Okay, so you know how this car is turbo, right?
Oh, is that the pressure in the turbo?
That's the boost gauge. Now, in the US, it's PSI, but over there in Germany, it's by bar. So I think 1 bar is, oh God, I'm gonna butcher this, but I think it's like almost 30 PSI. Could be wrong. Please, God, don't flame me for that, because
Dude, they're gonna own
I'm probably
you in the
wrong,
comments.
actually. I'm gonna have to Google that right after office. I'm gonna make an edit, say Mike was wrong. To my surprise, this car actually also has a aftermarket radio, a Rockford Fosgate. This is a real old model. I think these little guys over here acted as tweeters, which are kind of cute, and I've never seen them so small. Now, although this car only has 30,000 miles, as you can see, it is very dirty. Another thing we're gonna do with this car that we haven't done in previous videos is we're actually gonna be working with dye to make this seat look a little bit better. Now, the owner plans to possibly redo these seats anyways. Say, hey, if you guys can make it look a little better, try to. I've already dyed the seats on my Scirocco in a similar fashion because I had the same sort of wear, and it came out pretty good. So I'm excited to see how this comes out. With all that being said, we have to get these seats out of here, and my back's been hurting. So we're gonna see Brent do it.
Okay, I'm gonna get this seat out, and my question is, for myself, and maybe some of you, are these seats gonna be heavy or not? Because this is supposed to be a sporty car. These are pretty light, actually. I'm gonna be very careful doing it. Am I being careful, Mike?
Careful enough.
Look at that. It's not that heavy. I would assume they'd make white seats. I feel like I could walk a mile with this in my hands. See you later. Wait, whose shoes are on the fence over here?
Those are mine.
Oh. All right, see ya. Hey, there's a toilet over here.
All right, now it's time to polish the 930 turbo. So first things first, I went ahead and taped off all the areas that had exposed trim, and there's quite a lot. And so I have to be careful around those areas. That way I don't track polish and stain areas, especially like the whale tails foam. But when it comes to the paint after first inspection, there's really not a ton of oxidation, but there are some light scratches that I'm gonna try and remove with a single step polish and a foam pad, just to bring back a little bit of the gloss and make this 930 turbo look that much better. I'm not gonna go over and above on this car because I do believe that the owner plans on repainting a good portion of it, but what I am going to do is make it look much better. So let's get to it. All right, guys, we are here at Porsche of Beechwood, and they were kind enough to allow us to put the 930 Turbo in the showroom next to a brand new 2025 Turbo. And I gotta say, the difference in styling and aesthetic and overall curb appeal is insane. And it's really cool to see what was and then what is. And so we went ahead and we looked up a little bit of stats as far as how much these cars cost in 1981. So back in the day, a 1981 930 Turbo was gonna cost you about $25,000 to $26,000, depending on how it was spec'd out. And today, a base turbo with none of the extra add-ons, because you can spec Porsches into oblivion. Like, I mean, you can get a different seat and it costs $15,000. So this, I believe, starts at $200,000, which is pretty wild, because if you look at the inflation rate, $25,000 in today's money is about $88,000, and this is now a $200,000 car, which, you know, that's a lot more than it used to be, but I mean, you're getting a lot more car.
Way more car. I mean, this car was fantastic for its time. It was groundbreaking. So as fantastic as this looks, when this first came out, this blew everybody's mind. To have 300 horsepower in a car this small, this light, that's why it was called the Widowmaker. But twice the horsepower, twice the cost, it kind of makes sense.
This was also one of the first production turbo cars that were sold. I mean, Maserati had done the bi-turbo, but this was kind of the first sport-focused turbo car. But there's a difference in the turbos today.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think there's 44 years difference between these two cars, and they have kept the same recipe. Still an H6 motor, still turbocharged, although that one has 2 turbos, this one has 1, and a slight bump in the motor size. That's a 3.8 liter, what started as a 3.3 liter. So it's pretty incredible that they use the same exact recipe and it's still blowing minds today.
Yeah, and you still see the silhouette between the two, the classic 911 silhouette, but one is better than the other. And for me, it's this one. This is the most iconic silhouette for me in automotive history, especially with the whale tail and the big wide hips. That's why I have the silhouette at the shop. That's why I have all the Legos. This is just, in my opinion, one of the most interesting looking cars ever. And again, in my opinion, I think that the newer one, it doesn't, I mean, it still carries over the heritage of the silhouette, but it's just not as special.
Well, it's not as iconic. This is what paved the way, really, to make the 911 what it is today.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think I just saw the owner of this car pull up. So I will go ahead and say thank you so much to Porsche of Beechwood for allowing us to put this car next to one of the new turbos. But Clark is here, so let's go show him the car. All right, we are here because they allowed us to put Clark's turbo in the showroom. And so we're about to reveal it to you. Are you excited?
I'm super excited, man. I
you-
only saw this thing as a dusty barn find. So it's going to be I'm sure a big shock, big improvement.
I think you're going to be excited to see how it looks. So let's not waste any time. Let's get in there.
Wow. Well, holy cow.
Looks a little better, right?
Looks so much better.
The cool thing is that it's a really nice driver and it's such low miles and the interior is like mint.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow. Look how nice that came out. It really is, man.
this was just such a joy to have in the shop all week. You know, we're bringing people, hey, look what we got in here this week. So
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Yeah, it really came out nice.
yeah, we had to actually drop the radiator back here so that we can get all the little
pine needles and
pine
stuff
needles.
like that?
There might be a spare one here or there. I mean, we spent like probably 35, 40 minutes just getting the pine needles out of the out of the whale tail. But
Yeah, I can't get over how nice it looks.
yeah, like I
shined
said,
up
and
really
then
good.
you know this is my favorite angle of the whole entire car, the silhouette
agree.
from the rear, one of the rear quarters. It's just, you know,
It's
and
iconic, you know? It's an iconic looking design.
and the coolest thing is we bring it here at Porsche Beechwood, where they have, you know, multi-$100,000 cars all around. And when everyone walks in, they look at this. They don't have a 930 turbo on the whole entire lot, but they have, you know, all these other super crazy expensive cars. Meanwhile, this is the star of the show.
Yeah, you guys knocked it out of the park.
So earlier we were comparing, obviously, the 930 turbo, the first turbo, to the newest, the 992.1. In your opinion, what do you think as far as how they've changed over time?
Well,
which would you prefer to have?
I've owned both of them and I've driven both of them. And I mean, the new technology and a new wider stance and more horsepower is amazing, but there's nothing like an early air-cooled Porsche. It's all analog, you know, it takes skill to drive it and engage with it and stuff like that. So
The Widowmaker.
yeah, exactly. When the turbo kicks on, man, it is like a Widowmaker. I would agree with you. It's iconic.
But Clark, I got to say, thank you so much. Seriously,
problem,
this
man.
was such a pleasure to do. We appreciate the
Fun
trust and
project.
faith. Yeah, it really was. It was, like I said, it was a great week at the shop. And thank you all so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more like this, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next week.